What's so special about interval training? What is interval training? Why do we use it? So interval training is basically where you're training or you're exercising and you're alternating between high levels of intensity and then low levels of intensity or rest. So a simple interval training could be something like you are running and you run for 10 seconds really quickly and then you rest for 10 seconds and you do that a couple of times. That is interval training, okay? In terms of you are alternating between how much exercise you're doing versus how much rest you're having. And in total, there are, I'd say, 3 main massive benefits to using interval training, possibly 4. So the first key benefit of using interval training is that it's time efficient. So what I mean by that is so many of our clients are time poor, okay? They're time poor. We have so many things to be doing, and then to try and carve out time to exercise as well can be a big ask, especially if you're asking for, an hour, 2-3 hours of time to get away from the house, get away from the kids, get away from work, to fit it in, okay? We all have 24 hours in the day. We're sleeping best part of 7-8 hours. We're working typically 9 till 5, and it's like, when do I fit in exercise? So one reason we use interval training is because it's time efficient in terms of you can get similar effects from working at a higher level of intensity to working at a lower level of intensity, but for a longer period of time. So you could say, in the case of Tabata interval training, which is just one particular type of interval training, it's like, different models of cars or whatever, right? So this particular model in interval training in the car industry involves 4 minutes of effort, whereby you're working really hard for 20 seconds and then you're resting for 10, and you're doing that for 8 repetitions or rounds, so that in total you've been working for 4 minutes, okay? So that particular model or protocol of interval training has been proven in labs to give you the similar, if not the same, results as you would get from training for, say, an hour, but at a lower level of intensity. So if I can get the same benefits from working for just 4 minutes versus working for a whole hour, I personally know which one I would prefer to do, because I then have 56 minutes to do other things, 56 minutes to go and do whatever other jobs I have around the house, or just have more time to get on with other things, right? So interval training can be really time efficient when you use it properly. And what I mean by properly is you are manipulating the elements that you can control, which is the level of intensity, as in how hard you're working, versus the number of reps you're doing, and also the amount of rest you're having. So there are a million different combinations of what that can look like, but when you're first starting out, you're probably going to use something like a 1-for-1 approach, whereby you're working for as long as you're resting, maybe, and then as you get fitter, these variables can change and you're doing more and more reps, etc. Okay, but ultimately interval training is, 1, time efficient. The second thing is that it improves your performance in whatever it is that you choose to do interval training in. So say it's running, okay? If you're using running as a way to do, or rather you're interval training with running, you improve your performance, you improve your efficiency, your efficiency as a runner, because you're teaching the body to move quicker, okay? And in order for it to move quicker, your body has to adapt and get better. It has to get stronger, etc., right? So because you're working harder to run, say, quicker, what happens is over time your brain adapts and it becomes more efficient and you perform better in terms of, if you then dial it back and you start running at a slower pace, you're going to find it so much easier because you've been performing and you've been working really hard at that higher level of intensity. So what you're doing basically with intensity, or rather with interval training, is you're pushing the boundaries, you're opening out your comfort zone of how much suffering you can tolerate, right? So if, say with running, if you only run at any one pace all of the time, your comfort zone is, let's just say, there. Whereas if you use interval training and you run slightly quicker than you normally would, then over time your comfort zone then increases as well. So now you can tolerate quicker speeds or distances, or speed, distance and time, or the amount of time on your feet than you could previously, because your comfort zone has been opened out through you doing interval training. Okay, so the second benefit of interval training is that it increases your performance, it increases your comfort zone, or it pushes you out of your comfort zone, so it gets bigger and bigger, and ultimately you can tolerate more intensities. Okay, the third benefit is that it's fantastic for your heart health. Your muscle, or your heart rather, is a muscle like anything else, and the more you work it, the stronger it's going to get. So at higher levels of intensity, if you're doing interval training, what happens is your heart is having to get that oxygenated blood around the body even quicker. It has to learn to pump that blood around to wherever it is needed faster to help you to move quicker. Okay, so the way it improves your heart health is that your heart gets stronger. It can then over time pump more blood around the body easier. Your resting heart rate is going to come down because it takes less pumps for it to actually pump the same amount of blood around the body than it used to. So these are, kind of key markers that are going to be moved, and they're going to improve as you introduce something like interval training into your exercise regime. Okay, so a study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology actually talked about how much better your heart can become in terms of its efficiency to, one, pump in terms of its volume, and two, how efficient it is at pushing that oxygenated blood around the body and ultimately deliver that oxygen to where it's needed for those muscles to work to get you moving, doing your running or whatever it is in terms of your interval training. Okay, so the third reason, or the fourth benefit of interval training is that it's pretty good at burning calories. So by you moving your body quicker, by you working at higher rates of intensity than you normally would, say if you're just lifting the remote control for the telly or walking to the kettle or whatever it is, if you're working at a higher level of intensity, your body has to move quicker, and that takes energy, and energy comes in the form of calories in your body. So the more you ask of your body in terms of movement, lifting things, pushing against resistance, whatever it is, whatever you're doing in your interval training, the more you ask of it, the more you demand of your energy systems, the more calories ultimately it's going to burn, okay? So it's a great way to burn a lot of calories relatively quickly, or put another way, it's as efficient to burn similar amounts of calories in a shorter space of time if you're working hard enough, as it is to work at a slower pace but for a longer period of time. But because we're all time poor right now, this is why there's been such a surge, such a rise in the popularity of using interval training. So athletes use it to increase their performance, you know, sprinters, runners, rowers, whoever. You'll always find some element of interval training in their regime because it boosts their performance. For us busy over 30s, we use interval training because we have a shed load of other plates that are already juggling, and we want to squeeze in our exercise into our lives without having to potentially extend the rest of our day. So say, you know, our warriors, they'll get in, and we use HIIT training, high intensity interval training, because we know that 1, it's calorie burning, 2, it's time efficient, 3, it's a lot more fun rather than doing one thing again and again for 60 minutes, and it burns calories and gets you into a good frame of mind, a good state of mental health, so that you're better prepared for the rest of your day. So they're the 4 key benefits of using interval training in your exercise. So 1 was the time efficiency nature of it. 2 was how well it improves your performance in terms of your movement and ability and explosiveness and strength and all these other things. Thirdly, it's your heart health. And fourthly was the fat burn. But a caveat on the fat burn is, yes, it's great to use interval training to help you with burning calories. And if you want to maximize the results that you get in terms of using interval training to help you feel fitter, healthier, and happier, then combining it with improved nutrition is like putting rocket fuel on a fire, right? It's going to turn your body into a calorie, fat-burning furnace if you have 1, HIIT training in your pocket, and 2, you have control of your nutrition, because it's one thing to burn calories through exercise, but it's much easier and quicker to improve your overall health. Like if I had to choose between nutrition or exercise, if I had to, because I'd hate to have to do this because I love food, but I also love exercise. But if you could only do one thing and you wanted to get into shape quicker, then I would actually recommend nutrition, because of the bigger, even quicker impact it can have on your calorific intake, and therefore fat loss and all of the other kind of health markers that it can improve by you improving your nutrition. But this video is about why interval training is so special. But the final caveat is, if you can combine interval training with great nutrition as well, it can have life-changing effects. So yeah, they are the 4 key benefits of interval training. Which one do you agree with most in terms of the benefits, or which one resonates with you most? Drop me a comment below this video, and if you want to find out more about how we can help you feel fitter, healthier, and happier as well, using things such as HIIT training and interval training, then just call us on this number, or WhatsApp or text us on this number here, and we'll be in touch to see how we can help you.